Hi, welcome to the FY24 SWE Recognition Program Nominator and Nominee Training. I'm Sharon Rozzi. I'm the Awards and Recognition Committee Chair-elect for fiscal year 24. I'm here on behalf of Ronica McKinley, our committee chair this year, who sadly, very sadly, passed away last week after a long battle with cancer. I'm also here on behalf of Pamela Morrison, who this year led the awards implementation team. Because we had so many changes to the SWE awards and recognition programs this year, we put in place a dedicated team, implementation team to manage those changes, which Pamela led. So for the training today, it's intended to help nominators and nominees like you apply to the SWE recognition program by orienting you to the new program structure, the 3 leadership tracks, and also so that you can determine the nominees' eligibility and choose the recognition they are best suited for and submit your nomination online. So let me cover the learning objectives. So after completing the training today, you should be able to locate the SWE recognition program packet on the SWE website. And that's critical learning objective because that document will tell you everything you need to know about applying for a SWE recognition. You should be able to name the 3 leadership tracks that make up SWE's awards and recognition programs. You should be able to submit your nomination online and ask for help if you need support. So here's the overview of how the training's organized. So we'll begin with an overview of the SWE recognition program because there's quite a bit that has changed this year. Then we'll talk about how to go about preparing to apply for a recognition. We'll cover briefly the disqualification criteria that you want to avoid, how to go about submitting your nomination online. We'll cover what to expect around when the notifications of the outcomes of the recognition selection will be, and then we'll wrap up with a summary. And then I won't cover the appendix, but in that is a guide to how to navigate Smarter Select, which is the online tool that we use to manage nominations. So let's jump into the overview. So first I want to say that the SWE recognition program is very strongly aligned with SWE's mission. By recognizing the successes of SWE members, we expand the image of the engineering and technology profession. So where to find the SWE recognition packet? So that you can find on the SWE Awards, SWE recognition webpage. That document contains the full instructions on how to apply. This webpage also specifies that the window for nominations is now through June 15th, 2024. Also on this webpage is the form for applying for the SWE mission recognition, but we'll talk about that a little later in today's training. So SWE has done some major updates to its awards and recognition programs in fiscal year 24 to better reflect the society's strategic focus areas, to recognize women and allies at all career stages, and simplify the award categories and the application timelines. So let me tell you a little bit more about what those changes look like. So first, formerly, SWE had 3 awards programs. In the middle there, we have what were known as the SWE Local Award, the WE Local Awards, Individual Awards, and then thirdly, the SWE Mission and Multicultural Awards. Those 3 award programs have been condensed down to just now 2 programs. That's the SWE Awards Program and the SWE Recognition Program. Of course, today we're primarily focused on the SWE Recognition Program. But I want to say that both of those new programs, SWE Awards, SWE Recognition, what they both have in common is that they have 3 tracks. So there is a academia, management, and technical leadership track. There's an advocacy leadership track and a SWE leadership track, and we'll talk about those in a moment. I also want to call out on the left there that a couple of other programs that are administered by the SWE Awards and Recognition Committee that are not changing, and that's the collegiate competitions and the SWE Next Awards were largely the same this year as they were in the past. So a little bit more about the SWE Awards program and the SWE Recognition Program. So the SWE Awards program, which is now in the past, we just more or less concluded that awards program, although the announcements haven't been made yet. The SWE Awards program is divided up into Apex level awards and Ascent level awards. Apex are, as the name would suggest, the society's highest level of awards for people with, for the most part, over 20 years of experience. The Ascent level SWE awards encompass people who are early to mid-career, so student to mid-career. And those nominations closed this year back in March 1st. On the right-hand side is the recognition program intended to for acknowledge additional achievements by SWE members or groups. The timing for recognition, it's similar to the former mission awards, with the awards being open from April to June, specifically April 15th to June 15, with notification by the end of August. So if we go one level deeper on the new awards and recognition program, you'll see what are the specific awards and recognition, and also how do they line up with those three leadership tracks that I spoke about a few moments ago. So the three leadership tracks are leadership in academia, management, and technical. That's the first row, and you can see how that cuts across the Apex, Ascent, and the recognition. The second track is in advocacy leadership, and then the third, finally, is the SWE leadership track. So I won't go into the details on those Apex and Ascent awards since that's now concluded, but tonight let's focus on those recognition opportunities and what those look like across the three leadership tracks. So let's start with the academia, management, and technical leadership track. So there's one opportunity for recognition here, and that's the patent recognition. That recognizes SWE members who have been granted a patent within the previous 3 years. In the case of today, that would be December 31st, 2020 through December 31st, 2023. And that patent must be relevant to the fields of engineering, engineering technology, and a science related to engineering. This patent recognition was in former years known as the patent award that was part of individual awards. That's been moved over to be part of SWE's recognition program. Moving on to the advocacy leadership track, there are two opportunities for recognition. They both relate to diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, or DEI and B program recognitions. There's one award that honors companies and a second that honors individuals who have pioneered diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging programs within their organization. And then the third leadership track, which is the SWE leadership track. This track has the most number of opportunities for recognition. There are opportunities for recognitions for SWE groups, and I'll talk next about what that means. But those are the opportunities in purple at the top, and there's opportunities for recognition for SWE sections, affiliates, and members at large in maroon, and we'll talk about those more in a moment. But first, let's talk about, when we talk about a SWE group, what do we mean by that? So the term SWE group is defined as any group of collegiate or professional SWE members that support the SWE mission. So very broad definition. Those groups could include collegiate groups such as SWE collegiate sections or SWE affiliates. SWE groups include professional groups such as SWE professional sections, SWE members at large or SWE affinity groups, or employee resource groups within your company, or even informal groups within your companies, as long as they are a group of SWE members supporting the SWE mission. And then finally, you don't have to be a big company with ERGs to earn this recognition. As a small company, you can also, have SWE members organized to support the mission. And really any other groups of SWE members, as long as they meet that definition above. So those recognition opportunities for SWE group, there's 3 of them. The first is the Motorola Foundation Multicultural Recognition. That is presented to a professional SWE group that has developed and implemented the best multicultural program to increase and retain a diverse membership and provide an inclusive environment, to increase the exposure to engineering and SWE to a diverse audience, and/or to increase the exposure of engineering and SWE to the community through K-12 outreach programs. The second recognition opportunity here for SWE groups is the Boeing Company Multicultural Recognition, and that looks a lot like the one above, except it's presented to a collegiate SWE group. And then finally is the mission recognition, and that's for SWE groups that embody the SWE core values and demonstrate continuous improvement and growth as they work to achieve the society's strategic goals. So 3 opportunities for SWE leadership recognition for SWE groups. Let me talk next then about the opportunities for SWE sections, affiliates, and members at large recognition. There's 2 here, and one relates to membership growth, and the other relates to membership retention. And I want to say that there's no application process for either of these recognitions. It's really purely based on the SWE membership data, growth or retention of members. All right, so with that as background on the SWE Recognition Program, let's talk about preparing to apply for a SWE recognition. So in the process of applying for SWE recognition, there's 2 roles. There's a nominator and there's a nominee. And it is also the case that nominees may self-nominate, in which case they have both roles. But for the sake of today, let's assume they're 2 different people. So what the nominator does is select the recognition that best suits the candidate, and almost certainly with input from the nominee. They're going to verify that the candidate meets the objective and the qualification requirements for the recognition selected. The nominator is going to verify all the required items in the SWE recognition nomination checklist are completed. And then the nominator is responsible for the online application and its accuracy using the link provided for the intended recognition. We'll talk in a minute about how to locate that. It's very important that the nominator is confirming and supplying, the accurate contact information for the nominator and the nominee, because we depend on that for communication with you. The nominator is responsible that the application is submitted by the 15th of June with all the supporting information. The nominator is also the central point of contact between SWE. So in that role, they're going to inform the nominee of what the result was of the selection process. The role of the nominee, besides preparing their inputs to the nomination and supplying that to the nominator, and what that looks like is going to vary by recognition type. The nominee also has a demographic survey that is part of the package, is required for completion, and they're going to provide a professional headshot photo that meets the requirements. So those are the two roles. Now, to learn more about those responsibilities, it's very important that you read the general information that begins on page 3 of the packet. That's going to go into the next level detail of what I just spoke of. Then once you've picked the recognition that you're going to apply for each recognition in that SWE Recognition Program packet, there is a 1 to 4 page description of the objective, qualifications, and the nomination checklist. So you're going to use that to, confirm the nominee eligibility and understand what's all involved in preparing a nomination. And I will say that nomination checklist, it is unique for each of the recognitions. And then just a special word about the mission recognition. That one is unusual in that it has its own Excel form that is part of the nomination process. And you're going to find that form, which has been revised over last year if you've applied for what was formerly known as the Mission Award. There is a new Excel form there, so make sure you're using the latest. And I'll just do a shout out that the appendices of the SWE Recognition Program packet contain very helpful examples to guide in completing that mission recognition form. So that was how to prepare for a SWE recognition, preparing to apply. Let's just spend a couple of minutes on the disqualification criteria so you know what pitfalls to avoid, because we hate to see nominations get disqualified. But reasons for a SWE recognition disqualification include that the nominations aren't complete by the submission deadline of June the 15th at a minute before midnight. That some required component is missing, and I would say one common one that can be missing is the demographic survey that the nominee is responsible for. If their email was input wrong, or maybe it got lost in their email box or in their spam filter, but if that demographic survey is considered part of the nomination, if that's not done, it's considered incomplete. If a nominee does not meet the eligibility criteria that's defined in the recognition, that's a basis for a disqualification. So an example would be for the patent award requires that you've had at least one issued patent during that 3-year window that I mentioned before. So it's not sufficient to have applied for the patent. You have to have it issued in that window. Let's see, other reasons for disqualification. If some of the recognitions require a formal statement or a report, some sort of narrative, if that contains photos, graphics, or hyperlinks, that's a basis for a disqualification. So the spirit of that is we want that formal statement or report to really stand on its own. We don't want to introduce photos that might create bias in judging, which we work very hard to avoid, and hyperlinks to more information like a LinkedIn profile that just expands the formal statement of the report, and the intent is to work within a stated word limit. Number 4, if an application is submitted to if it's not submitted to the correct link, that's a basis for disqualification. Each recognition type has its own link and to unique form for that recognition. So you want to make sure you've got the right link. Applications exceeding the stated word count. And then lastly, there's a few there that are specific to the mission recognition, and that's if within your application you list the same event across multiple categories, that's a basis for disqualification because it's essentially double counting. Or if you submit an application that used an older mission application form, that's a basis for disqualification because we do change that form, and in fact the form has been changed again in fiscal year 24. So make sure you're downloading the latest from the SWE Recognition webpage. I think key takeaway on this slide is, verify eligibility before you start applying, and triple check your nomination package for all of the above to make sure there's no reason to disqualify. All right, so now let's talk about how to go about submitting your nomination online. So you'll find the link to apply online on that page of the SWE Recognition Program packet that describes the recognition that you're applying for. So there's an illustration there for the patent recognition about halfway down the page, and big colored font, it says apply for patent recognition. So you'll see a link like that on every recognition page. So make sure you're applying for the right one. It's tragic, but we every year have folks that use the wrong link, and then all their efforts are for naught. So but there's a couple places you can verify it. So let me show you that. So when you click apply for whichever recognition you're applying for, that is going to open up a page in your browser to the Smarter Select application, and that will open up to a page that will reinforce which application link you pick. So in this case, if you clicked on that apply for the patent recognition, that would take you to a page that in big letters at the top would say FY24 patent recognition. So there's your second opportunity to verify that that's what you want to apply for. So features on that page are you can preview the nominations, so you get a sense of what's involved, although you're going to find that nomination form is going to look a lot like what the packet said were the requirements. There's a big green button there to apply or create a new application. And if you're returning to this page to work on an application you already started, you're going to click sign in. And I want to say today, I'm not going to go through all of the details of how to navigate Smarter Select. I'll save that for the appendix, and this training document will be loaded up to the SWE Recognition Programs webpage, so you'll have access to that appendix when you're ready to start working on things in Smarter Select. So just a word about logging into Smarter Select. So if you're a first-time user, you'll need to create a user ID and a password. If you've used Smarter Select before, you're going to want to use your existing login credentials, and just know that each application that you start is going to have a unique application ID. So some general guidance on submitting your nomination online in Smarter Select. And again, this is the nominator's role to complete. Some tips and what the form elements are is really going to be recognition opportunity specific, but some general things are, with the nominee and the nominator information, just triple check that the contact information is correct, because there will be system generated emails to you, and the society will use that to, or SWE headquarters will use that to communicate with you. We also recommend that you use personal email addresses rather than company email addresses. Company email addresses seem to be, in general, subject to more spam filters than personal emails. But in either case, regardless of what you use, if you're not getting emails from SWE or Smarter Select, you're going to want to check your spam folders to see if they're being blocked. Some other tips for if your recognition has a requirement for a formal statement or report, you're going to be pasting that into a text box. So most people will create their draft in another program like Microsoft Word, and they will paste that into a text box in Smarter Select. Just note that Smarter Select often does not count words exactly the same as other programs. You may find that in Microsoft Word, it's telling you you're at your 500 word max, and you may paste it into Smarter Select, and Smarter Select counts it as 502 words. So just really double check that the maximum has not been exceeded. In fact, what Smarter Select does is it truncates the words so it can't exceed. That's for when the text is pasted into a text box. And then with regard to the professional photo, just make sure that image meets the specified requirements. So once you've filled out the nomination form, when you get to the end of the form, you have another opportunity to verify that you've applied to the intended recognition, because you're going to see it in the upper right-hand corner of that confirmation message. You're going to want to read the confirmation statement, confirm you agree, and then click submit, and then check your emails for confirmation that it was submitted. And in general, you're going to want to be monitoring your nomination status, which you can do both via emails, but also logging into Smarter Select. Because remember, the nominator going in, filling out the form, and hitting submit, that doesn't by itself doesn't constitute a complete nomination. It will the nominee also has to complete their demographic survey for that to be considered complete. So check your emails, check Smarter Select to confirm that it's all coming together by that June 15th deadline. And the appendix of the training, has a number of screenshots of Smarter Select that shows, what does it look like when that demographic survey is outstanding, and what does it look like when in fact it's been submitted. So as we begin to wrap up, let me share what you can expect about the recognition notifications. So for the SWE Recognition Program, the recognition or the notification will be by the end of August. All right, so let me wrap up with a few key messages about the SWE Recognition Program and the guidance for nominators and nominees. So this year, SWE has done some major updates to both the SWE Awards and Recognition Program, and that's intended to reflect the Society's strategic focus areas, recognize women and allies at all stages of career, and simplify the award categories and the application timelines. Both the awards and the recognition program are divided into 3 leadership tracks. So there's academic, management, and technical leadership. There's advocacy leadership, and finally SWE leadership. Everything you need to know about applying for a SWE recognition can be found on the SWE Recognition Program webpage, and specifically in the SWE Recognition Program packet that you can download from that webpage. Use that document as a guide as you bring your nomination package together. And then ultimately, nominations are submitted online using our Smarter Select tool. And you will find there's a unique link in the SWE Recognition Program packet for the recognition that you're applying for. And remember that the window to apply will close on June 15th, 2024. And if you have any questions about what we've covered today, or questions that come up when you're in the process of applying, don't hesitate to reach out to awards@swe.org. Thank you so much.